Stephen Amell was one of the 3 actors who came to New Zealand to audition for Spartacus when Andy Whitfield had to be replaced. So it was Liam McIntyre, it was this other guy from New York, and then it was Arrow, prior to being Arrow. But in any case, I went along to this audition, and I was actually still feeling really badly jet lagged, and I didn't think that I had the energy to go in and perform well. And I was going, oh man, I don't know how to wake up. And then all of a sudden I realized Night gave me this 8-hour energy drink. And so I went out of my suitcase and I dug it out and I popped this thing. And I went into the audition room, and when I went in, there was like all these guys that all looked like tough, and they were all walking around going, oh yeah. An acting audition is really something quite special, trust me. You go into a room and there's people and they hate you. They hate you because they're going for the same job and they want the break, So they all look at you and they go like, And of course, all the guys that were going for Slade Wilson were in there trying to feel really military, It actually wasn't Slade Wilson, but they said it was a military guy. Anyway, so this 8-hour energy drink started to kick in. And I'm going like, oh, okay, I'm starting to feel a bit better now. And anyway, they bought me because I hadn't had the sides yet, so they bought me the script. And the script was the first scene that Slade Wilson appears. And what happens is Oliver's in the cockpit of the aeroplane, and suddenly this shadow drops down behind him and jumps up and grabs him in a chokehold. And for the second time in 30 minutes, I'm going like, wait up, Night from Kuwait taught me a chokehold. So right now I'm on his energy drink, and now I'm doing his move. This is really incredible stuff, because it's amazing how Universal throws stuff at you, and all of a sudden it becomes relevant. Come back up here, brother. So I'm thinking like, how am I going to do this scene? Okay, so in the scene, this character drops down from the roof, jumps up, grabs Oliver Queen around the throat, and says, "You've got 10 seconds to tell me something I believe, kid, otherwise I'm going to cut out your throat box." And I'm listening to the other guys that are, all these guys that are looking at me like, I'm the dude, who are going into the room, and they're doing these really over-the-top auditions. I could hear some guys going, "Tell me something I believe, kid, or I'm going to cut out your throat box." And I'm sitting outside going, I don't think that guy's got the role. But I was still trying to find the performance myself. And then I thought to myself, you know what? Remember how Night whispered into your ear so calmly? He just said to me, "Relax." So calmly. And so when I got in there, the casting agent, who's a big-time Hollywood casting agent, David Rappaport, he's like, "Nice to meet you, Manu, seen you in Spartacus, love your work. You ready for this?" And I said, yeah, sure. But I said, "Oh, can I have the reader come in front of the camera butt? Because I want to do the chokehold rather than just pretend." And so he said, and this young guy's like, "Yeah, sure." Big mistake. So David Rappaport's going like, are you ready? And I said, yeah, okay, let's do it. So I grabbed this guy on the chokehold, right? He wasn't this tall, actually. He was about there. So I grabbed and I'm sort of applying a little bit of pressure, but I didn't think too much. And David Rappaport says, "You ready?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'm ready. Let's do it. So he said, "Okay, go for it. You got 10 seconds to tell me something I believe, kid. Otherwise I'm going to cut out your throat box." At which point, the reader fell unconscious. Go down. Lie on the floor. The reader in my audition for Arrow was knocked unconscious and was lying on the floor in front of my feet at my audition for Deathstroke, unconscious on the floor. And I looked up at David Rappaport and I said, is this part of the scene? And he said, no, I think you've knocked him out. And I was like, kid, hey, you okay? You okay? And he came to, because I mean, this sort of a chokehold, it blocks some oxygen, blood supply, and you faint, but it's only for a couple of seconds, you know. And so the kid got up, and I was like, oh, sorry about that, man. Sorry about that. And David Rappaport said, go wash your face to the kid. So the kid left. Thank you for your help.
Round of applause.
And now I'm standing in front of like one of Los Angeles' top casting directors, thinking I'm never going to get a cast ever again in Los Angeles. I thought, you know, this guy's going to bring the police or something. I don't know what it was. And I said, listen, David, I've just been in Kuwait, and I just met a guy who is this guy. He's Special Forces. He showed me how to do that chokehold. Obviously it works. He gave me an 8-hour energy drink. I had such bad jet lag that I feel like the energy of a soldier right now that has to stay awake, that has to perform. And I've come in here putting everything I possibly could into this role. And I'm sorry about that, but I've brought the guy into this room with me. And he said to me, listen, I think what you did was absolutely perfect. Come and have a look. So I run around the back of the camera, we're both watching the replay, this guy's eyes go like this. And he said to me, bless his soul, he said to me, you know what, you did harness the energy and it was perfect. And I think you're up for a good shot at this role. So I flew all the way to New Zealand and got to the Hobbit premiere, and then the next morning after the Hobbit premiere in Wellington, New Zealand, I got a phone call and they said I had to be on a plane on Thursday to fly to Vancouver. So this was Monday, so I had 3 days to jump back on a plane, pack all my bags, and move to Vancouver. When I got to Vancouver airport, I had to go through immigration. And as I said, when I went to the audition, it wasn't called Slade Wilson, it was called like, I don't know, Bob, let's say, the character. And I was lined up to get my immigration papers, and suddenly my manager rings me and she says, oh, check out Variety magazine, they've just announced, you know, a Hollywood Reporter, they've just announced that you've been cast in the series. And so she's on the phone and I look it up and it says, and I was like, Slade Wilson, that's not who I read for. And the guy behind the immigration counter said, are you playing Slade Wilson? And I said, yeah. He goes, man, that's Deathstroke, he's badass. So I actually found out about who the character was through the guy at the Canadian immigration. Of course, I then went to the office and they